I'm Grace, and I'm 28 years old. My sister just told me to eat in the kitchen because adopted kids don't deserve to sit with the real family. Everyone at the table laughed like it was the funniest joke they'd ever heard. I looked around at these people I'd called family my whole life, watching them wipe tears from their eyes while my heart shattered into a million pieces. Then I smiled, reached into my purse, and dropped an envelope right in the center of Mom's good china. "You might want to call your lawyers," I said, my voice steady as steel. "We have a meeting tomorrow about Mom and Dad's will. You'll definitely want to stick around for what happened next." Let me back up and tell you how we got here, because this story didn't start at that dinner table in our family home in suburban Charlotte, North Carolina. It started 6 months earlier when my world fell apart. Mom and Dad both got COVID-19 within days of each other during that terrible winter surge. While my three older siblings, Michael, Sarah, and Jennifer, were too worried about their own health to visit, I was the one who moved in to take care of them. I left my own kids, Emma and Jake, with my husband David, and basically lived at the hospital for weeks. My siblings had their reasons, they said. Michael claimed his investment banking job in downtown Charlotte was too critical to risk exposure. He'd answer my frantic calls between meetings, always sounding distracted, always checking his phone while I tried to explain Mom's oxygen levels. Sarah insisted her twin toddlers needed her at home, that she couldn't possibly expose them to the virus. Jennifer, who ironically worked as a hospital administrator, just said she couldn't handle seeing them sick. The woman who managed medical operations for a living couldn't face the reality of her own parents fighting for breath. But me? I was there every single day, holding their hands through plastic gloves, talking to doctors through foggy face shields, making impossible decisions about ventilators and experimental treatments. The nurses knew me by name. The ICU staff would pull me aside to prepare me for bad news before it became official. When Mom needed someone to sign papers for a risky treatment that insurance wouldn't cover, it was my signature on the line. When Dad's condition worsened, and they needed someone to stay overnight despite visitor restrictions, I slept in that uncomfortable hospital chair until my back screamed and my neck cramped into knots. While my siblings sent flower arrangements that nurses had to throw away due to infection protocols, and text messages asking for updates they could share on social media, I was living this nightmare in real time. I watched two people I loved more than life itself slip away despite everything modern medicine could do. I learned medical terminology I never wanted to know. I understood ventilator settings and blood oxygen percentages. I became fluent in the language of critical care and deteriorating conditions. Mom died on a Tuesday morning in early March while I held her hand through a plastic barrier, whispering promises that I'd take care of Dad and make sure he wasn't alone. Dad followed 3 days later on Friday, and I swear his last words were, "Take care of Grace." At the time, I thought he meant emotionally, help me through the grief, support me while I processed losing both parents within 72 hours. I had absolutely no idea what he really meant, what he and Mom had been planning during those long, painful months when they knew the end was coming. The funeral was a production worthy of Broadway. Suddenly, all three of my siblings were front and center, crying dramatically for everyone to see, accepting condolences like they'd been the devoted children all along. People kept thanking Michael for being so strong during this difficult time. They praised Sarah's courage and told Jennifer how much her parents had loved her dedication. The irony wasn't lost on me, standing there hollow-eyed from 6 months of actual caregiving, actual sacrifice, actual love in action, while they performed grief for an audience that didn't know the truth. You know what's funny about being adopted into a family that already has biological children? No matter how much your parents love you, the siblings never quite let you forget you're different. Not maliciously at first when you're young, just little comments that chip away at your sense of belonging over the years. "Well, you're not really our sister," or "Mom and Dad chose us naturally, but they picked you from strangers like choosing a puppy." It starts as kid stuff, playground cruelty that adults dismiss as normal sibling rivalry, but it never really stops. It just evolves and becomes more sophisticated. Growing up in Charlotte, I watched my siblings create an invisible circle that I was never quite inside. As adults, they mastered the art of subtle exclusion that's harder to call out without seeming paranoid or oversensitive. Family photos at Thanksgiving, where I somehow wasn't invited because they forgot to mention the gathering at Michael's lake house. Holiday traditions? I learned about secondhand through social media posts, showing everyone together at Sarah's place for Christmas morning. Inside jokes that stopped abruptly when I walked into a room, leaving me standing there feeling like an intruder in conversations about shared memories from before I joined the family at age 4. birthday parties for my own children that my siblings were mysteriously too busy to attend, though they never missed each other's kids' celebrations at the trampoline park or the fancy venues they rented. Emma would ask why Aunt Sarah didn't come to her party when she went to Cousin Madison's the week before. Jake wondered why Uncle Michael never wanted to see his school play when he drove 2 hours to watch Cousin Trevor's soccer tournament. It was death by 1,000 cuts, each one small enough to seem petty if I complained, but collectively devastating to someone who just wanted to belong somewhere, to be chosen again every day. The message was always clear beneath their polite smiles. You're family, but not really. You're included, but conditionally. You're loved, but differently, with invisible limitations that biological children never face. They never said it directly after we became adults, but I felt it in every exclusion, every forgotten invitation, every holiday I spent wondering why I wasn't enough. But Mom and Dad were different. They never made me feel like anything other than their beloved daughter. When I struggled in school with math, Dad spent hours at the kitchen table helping with homework, never showing frustration when I didn't understand fractions or algebra immediately. When I got my heart broken at 16 by Tommy Richardson, Mom held me while I cried and threatened to have some choice words with the boy who hurt me. They came to every graduation, every recital, every important moment, beaming with pride that felt genuine and unconditional. They were my safe harbor in a family that often felt like stormy seas. The constant reminder that I was chosen, wanted, treasured, not despite being adopted, but simply because I was their daughter in every way that mattered. When people would make thoughtless comments about my adoption at church or neighborhood gatherings, Mom would get that fierce look in her eyes and shut them down immediately. Grace is our daughter in every way that counts, she'd say firmly. Blood doesn't make family, love does. After the funeral, we all gathered at Mom and Dad's 2-story colonial house for the traditional meal that feels obligatory after laying someone to rest. It felt wrong being there without them, their empty chairs at the head of the dining room table like accusatory reminders that the people who held this family together were gone forever. My siblings immediately started discussing what they called practical matters: selling the house, dividing belongings, closing accounts, handling all the tedious business that death leaves behind. It made my skin crawl how quickly they'd moved from grief to greed. We should get the house appraised soon, Michael said, cutting into his ham like we were discussing weekend plans. Market's pretty decent right now in this neighborhood. Sarah nodded enthusiastically, already mentally spending money. And we need to go through Mom's jewelry collection professionally. That diamond necklace alone is probably worth thousands. That's when Jennifer made her announcement about hosting a family dinner the following week with that particular smile I recognized from childhood. The one that meant she was about to say something that sounded nice but had sharp edges hidden underneath. We should do this properly, she declared, a real family meal to discuss everything like adults. The next morning, I received a call from Thompson and Associates, my parents' attorney. Grace, we need to schedule a meeting regarding your parents' estate. There are some important matters to discuss before the formal reading. Can you come to our office this afternoon? Something in his tone made my stomach flip. Sitting in that downtown law office with its leather chairs and mahogany desk, Attorney Richard Thompson slid a folder across to me. Your parents updated their wills 6 months ago, right after your father's diagnosis. He paused, watching my face carefully. Grace, they've left everything to you. The house, the investment portfolio, the life insurance policies, everything. I stared at him, not comprehending. What about Michael, Sarah, and Jennifer? Mr. Thompson opened the file, showing me page after page of legal documents. They're not mentioned as beneficiaries. Your parents were very specific. The house in Dilworth is valued at approximately $850,000. The investment accounts total $1.2 million. Life insurance policies total $500,000. Additionally, they established irrevocable trust funds for Emma and Jake's education. My hands shook as he handed me a sealed envelope. Your mother left this for you. I recognized her handwriting immediately. Inside, her words blurred through my tears. Dearest Grace, if you're reading this, your father and I are gone. We've watched how your siblings treated you over the years. Every exclusion, every casual cruelty, every time they made you feel less than. We saw everything. When we got sick, we weren't surprised by who showed up and who didn't. You sacrificed everything to care for us. You left your children, exhausted yourself, made impossible medical decisions while they sent text messages. This is not about punishing them. This is about protecting you, and honoring the daughter who honored us. You were chosen once at age 4, when we adopted you from foster care. Now we choose you again. Build a beautiful life. Love, Mom and Dad. I attended Jennifer's dinner exactly as planned. The table was set with Mom's good china, the same plates we'd used for every Sunday dinner and Thanksgiving my entire childhood. My siblings were already discussing division strategies, creating spreadsheets on their phones. Then Sarah made her joke, the one about adopted kids eating in the kitchen, and everyone laughed like it was hilarious. I let the laughter die down naturally. Then I reached into my purse and dropped that envelope right in the center of the table. You might want to call your lawyers, I said calmly. We have a meeting tomorrow morning at 9, at Thompson & Associates regarding Mom and Dad's will. I'd suggest you all attend. Michael grabbed the envelope first, his investment banker brain immediately recognizing official legal correspondence. What is this? His face went pale as he read. Jennifer snatched it next, her hospital administrator composure cracking. This can't be legal. They can't just. Sarah burst into tears, but they weren't tears of grief. They were tears of rage and disbelief. I stood up, pushing my chair back carefully. Mom and Dad watched you exclude me for 24 years. They saw every forgotten invitation, every dismissive comment, every time you made me feel like I didn't belong. And when they were dying, when they needed their children most, I was there alone. You made your choices. They made theirs. The house, the investments, the life insurance, all of it goes to me. That's what happens when you treat family like they're disposable. I walked toward the door, then turned back one last time. I'll be putting the house on the market within a few months. The memories there aren't ones worth preserving anymore. The drive home felt surreal. In 48 hours, I'd gone from family outcast to financial security I'd never imagined possible. When I got home, David was waiting in the kitchen with coffee and concerned eyes. How bad was it? He asked, pulling me into his arms. I buried my face in his chest and finally let myself cry. They left me everything, I whispered. The house, the investments, all of it. We're financially secure for the first time in our lives. He lifted me off my feet and spun me around the kitchen like we were newlyweds again. Emma and Jake came running at the commotion. At 12 and 10, they were old enough to understand death, but too young for inheritance complexities. What's happening? Emma asked. I knelt to their level. Grandma and Grandpa left us money to help take care of our family. It means Daddy and I won't work so many extra hours, and we can do special things together. Jake's eyes lit up with pure joy. Does this mean we can finally get a dog? Over the following weeks, my siblings attempted reconciliation. Michael called repeatedly, alternating between legal threats and pleading about family loyalty. Sarah showed up at my house twice uninvited, crying about her financial struggles. Jennifer sent cards and flowers regularly, as if grief gifts could repair the damage. But I held firm to my parents' wishes. The most unexpected opportunity came at the grocery store. Grace Williams, someone called. I turned to see Patricia Chen, a social worker from the hospital who'd coordinated my parents' care. We chatted about healing from loss. Then Patricia grew serious. Grace, do you remember mentioning you were adopted? There's a situation at work that made me think of you. 2 little girls, sisters, ages 3 and 4. Their parents both died from COVID complications 6 weeks ago. They're in foster care now. My heart clenched. Do they have family who can take them? Patricia shook her head. No close relatives able or willing to take them both. They need a permanent home. They're such sweet girls, Lily and Rose, but they've been through tremendous trauma. Something stirred deep in my chest, a recognition of being small and scared and needing a family to choose me. David and I went through the intensive 8-month adoption screening process. Home visits, background checks, financial evaluations, psychological assessments. Emma and Jake were interviewed separately about adding siblings. Both were enthusiastic. Emma immediately planned teaching the girls to braid hair. Jake declared he'd share his favorite toys. Finally, we brought Lily and Rose home to become part of our family. That first night, as I tucked both girls into their new beds and read the same story 3 times, Rose looked up at me with serious dark eyes. Are you really our mama now forever? I smoothed her hair and kissed her forehead. Forever and always, sweetheart. You're safe now. You're home. A year later, I was hosting Sunday dinner at our new house, with enough bedrooms for everyone, and a big backyard. Watching Emma teach Lily and Rose to make friendship bracelets while Jake helped David grill burgers, I felt complete. Jennifer called during dessert. Grace? I saw the adoption announcement. You looked so happy. I forgave you all months ago, I said. But forgiveness doesn't mean we go back to being family. Too much has been said and done. After I hung up, David wrapped his arms around me. Everything's perfect, I said, meaning it completely. If this story resonated with you, subscribe for more stories about choosing love over blood. Sometimes the family we create is stronger than the one we're born into.